to my channel. My name is Becca, and today I'm going to be talking about what I packed in my makeup bag for a 4-day trip to Las Vegas. I was there for a beauty convention called Cosmoprof, which is one of the biggest beauty conventions in North America. Cosmoprof actually brought myself and a few other content creators out to discover more brands and to just sort of learn about the behind the scenes, and it was a really cool experience for me. I have never been to Cosmoprof before, and I really got to see the sort of behind the scenes of what does building a brand look like, what do different parts of the industry look like. So I do want to do a separate sort of vlog sharing what my favorite brand discoveries were and showing you a bit of the behind the scenes at Cosmoprof. But today I want to show you exactly what I packed in my makeup bag. So this was not a carry-on trip for me. This was a check your luggage kind of trip because I knew I was going to be coming home with a lot of product, and I also had several different occasions to dress for. So I had 3 different days at Cosmoprof, as well as drinks one night and dinner one night and a couple other things going on. So I just sort of knew I would need a few different outfits and options. So I packed everything in this Cushy bag. Cushy is the name of the brand, and it's a beautiful leather bag with gold hardware. It's very soft, and it has 2 sort of looped zippers, and this bag holds so much. There's a side zipper right there, and there are also 2 little pockets on the side. I also love this bag because the leather is very easy to maintain. You can just take a soft, damp washcloth, and it's a very soft leather and things buff away really easily. It's also a pebbled leather, so I don't really worry about scuffs or scratches or anything like that. And I've taken it on many, many trips, I think in the 1.5 years or so that I've had it, and it's done really well. And the inside is also washable. It's this sort of vinyl fabric. I also brought my little Cushy dual-sided brush pouch. So this pouch has little buttons on both sides so that if you want to clip it into the makeup bag, you can. They are sold separately, but they function together. I didn't do that because I didn't have enough room in the bag to fit this in, but it's a really nice way of carrying your brushes. So it has this button clasp here, you open it up, and I have my brushes on one side as well as some pencils and slimmer profile makeup on this side. It's that same vinyl fabric. It's very easy to clean, and the inside is plastic, so you can just take a wipe and wipe it clean really easily. It is just really nice to sort of have a set of travel pouches that work well together and look nice together. My other travel essential and something I must have with me at all times is my Ricky Loves Ricky Cutie mirror. So this is a handheld mirror. It's very slim. It's basically the size of your phone, maybe a little bit smaller, like the older iPhones. And the best thing about this mirror is that it lights up. So there's a button in the back here, and it has 3 different levels of brightness. So it really allows you to have good light, even if you're in a dark hotel room or wherever you are. It's slim enough to fit in a bag or in a clutch. If you need to check in and touch up your makeup, it's so good. The mirror is also scratch resistant. So whatever bag I've thrown it in, even if it's in a makeup bag with other compacts and plastic, it has not scratched at all. It also has a little handle, so you can hold it comfortably, make sure you don't drop it. It's also very lightweight, and I have dropped it many times and it has not broken. I don't know how they do it. It's a really good quality mirror. And the back also has a little kickstand, so if you want to, let's say, sit it up on a table or a surface while you're doing your makeup, you can do that too. Let's go in order of application. The first product I brought was the Chantecaille Anti-Pollution Mattifying Cream. So this is a primer that I've spoken about many times. It has a sort of long wear component. It fills in pores a little bit, but it's very sort of a soft velvet touch. I used this on day 1, and then I did not touch it at all. I don't think I had really factored in the fact that I was going to be in Vegas, in a hotel, in a convention center with forced air conditioning and in 108-degree heat. So obviously my skin was a lot drier and just more parched than it normally is, even though I'm in LA. I didn't find that I needed this basically at all. I actually found the opposite, that my skin was a lot more dehydrated and thirsty, and if anything, it needed more hydration and less mattifying. Another sort of makeup prep item is my Paula's Choice Hyaluronic Acid Peptide Lip Booster. So this is beautiful. This is a new launch. It is a lip treatment that is sort of this gel consistency, and it has a metal tip. So it was fantastic for keeping my lips hydrated and pillowy and plump throughout the day in the super dry conditions. For brows, I have the Refi Brow Sculpt and my Milani Weekend Brow in the shade Espresso. So the Brow Sculpt is sort of a matte brow pomade that gives me a lot of vertical hold, but also very real hair looking texture. I have been loving it, and it also comes with this dual-ended or dual-sided tool that is really nice and works for both my brows and my lashes. And my Weekend Brow is my favorite brow pen. It gives me really fine hair-like strokes, and it's a nice cool toned neutral brown. I only brought one foundation for this whole trip, and it should be no surprise that it was the Dior Backstage foundation. I just love how flexible it is in coverage. You can do a sort of light coverage look, or you can build it up to a sort of medium coverage. I don't usually go for a higher coverage than medium, so this is really all I need. And it looks beautiful during the daytime, and it also looks great in the evening for a more elevated look. So it's my trusty staple, and also because it's in this plastic squeezy tube, it's very lightweight compared to my other foundations that are in glass bottles. My concealers also should be of no surprise. I used the Armani Power Fabric in shade 5 and the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer in Custard. These are my go-to concealers for most days, and I really rely on them for long wear and to look good without ever getting cakey or crusty. I actually even popped the NARS Soft Matte Concealer in my bag because it's a great touch-up concealer. It has a sort of velvety touch that melts onto the skin if you apply it with your fingers. For base brushes, I brought my Rephr 17 brush, which is my foundation sort of kabuki brush. And then I brought my Isom, what is this called? The V09 brush. It's like very, very tiny. And these are great for quick application. To be honest, if I were doing a carry-on, I would leave these brushes out and just apply my makeup with my fingers. But I do like to have brushes on hand if I don't feel like getting my fingers dirty. For powder, I brought my Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder. It's just very reliable for me. I know exactly how it's gonna perform. It sets my makeup for the day, but it's not too heavy or cakey or overly mattifying. And I always apply it with my Wayne Goss airbrush, which I recently learned is discontinued, which I'm sad about. It's one of my favorite brushes, but I will try to find a similar brush in the description box below. For bronzer, I brought two different options because I find that layering these two gives me the longest wear. So my cream option is my Fenty Cheeks Out Cream Bronzer in the shade Macchiato. It's just this perfect sort of golden yellow undertone bronzer that I love for warming up the face, but I also love it to sort of sculpt the face a little bit, give a little bit of, yeah, just not exactly contour, but maybe bronzer. And I love to top that with the Victoria Beckham Beauty Bronzer in the shade 02. This one is very warm on me, and I love the tone that it gives me. It gives me a very sun-kissed look. And even though it's a powder, it wears so smoothly and beautifully. They're beautiful each on their own, but together they really give me that long wear, because anytime you top cream with powder, you're sort of locking in that color and giving the powder something to hold on to. For the bronzers, I brought two different brushes. I brought the e.l.f. Airbrush Stipple and also the Isom X51. So the Airbrush Stipple I used with all of my cream cheek products, and the Isom X51 I used for the bronzer only. I only brought brought one blush, and it is the Danessa Myricks Vision Flush in the shade Ballet Slippers. So even though the name Ballet Slippers evokes a maybe sort of light, cool-toned pink, this is actually a sort of burnt coral with a bit of bronzy tone in it. There's definitely a bit of brown in here. And for that reason, even though it's very, very pigmented, I find it to be a really neutral, sort of adaptable blush shade that goes with a lot of different eye looks, especially the sort of soft glam eye looks that I was going for on this trip. An application tip that I would highly suggest would be to swipe the doe foot applicator on the back of your hand and then use a brush like the e.l.f. stipple brush to sort of work the product into the brush on the back of your hand, pick it up off the back of your hand, and then pounce it onto the cheeks very lightly. And it might sound like an extra step, but it actually will give you the most skin-like and diffused, beautiful wash of color that you can build up in depth and pigmentation as you go, rather than starting with a ton of blush on your cheeks and then working backwards, which is always harder to do. I did bring a beauty sponge. This is the Miss A Paw Paw sponge in a little Eco Tools like brush sponge holder thing. I think this was like an Easter limited edition packaging. I do like having a sponge available in my routine. If I were carrying on my makeup bag, I would leave the sponge out because it's just bulky, and especially if you have a case, it just takes up a lot of space and it's not a necessity. Here's one product regret that I wish I hadn't brought, and this was my own mistake. So I brought the nude sticks all over face color, and I thought I was picking up Bubbly BB because that's what the lid says, but it's actually Brown Sugar Baby. So I think I got the lids mixed up when I had been swatching a few different shades in a PR package. This is one of those products that reminded me why I should just bring my tried and true favorite products while traveling. I am not super familiar with the Nudies Glow formula, their highlighters, even though I know their blushes really well. And this is a balmy formula that is not super pigmented, but it does have a bit of micro glitter in it. And it's a very dewy balm. So one day I applied this directly onto the cheek over foundation, and I actually found that it moved my foundation around a lot. So then I would apply it on the back of my hand and then tap it onto my cheeks, or I would apply it on the back of my hand and use the sponge to tap it onto my cheeks, but then I would use a lot of product that way. And to be honest, I still haven't found an application method with this that doesn't lift up the base products underneath. So it wasn't a love, it just wasn't my favorite. And there are other cream and liquid luminizing highlighter products that I wish I had brought instead. Moving on to eyes, I did not bring an eyeshadow palette, nor did I bring any matte powder eyeshadows. I actually used my Victoria Beckham Beauty bronzer as my eyeshadow. So obviously it's not very deep, but I just wanted something that I could work into the crease, build a little bit of definition, bring some warmth around the eyes. And I wasn't going for like very, very smoky looks or dramatic looks. I just wanted something to bring a little bit of soft glam to the eyes. I always use my Esom V34 domed eyeshadow brush with this formula because it's very big and it covers a lot of surface area, and I actually really like to work the bronzer up into the outer corner and sort of upwards into the brow, and I actually find that technique sort of helps lift the eye. Even though it's very subtle, it's just sort of a contouring trick that lifts the overall appearance of your eye in general, especially if you have like a hooded eye like me. It's just a nice technique to make you look a little bit more awake. That said, it's not like I didn't bring eyeshadow options. So I have 3 different potted eyeshadows that I brought. The first is my beloved Tom Ford Golden Peach Cream and Powder Eye Duo. I am wearing this today on my eyes. I put some of the bronzer in my crease, and then I wore the cream shadow as a base all over my eye, and then I put on the toppers just sort of all over my lid and above my crease. I love this formula so much. I have talked about it constantly over the years because it's so reliable. So the cream is a really beautiful pearl finish. I've had this for many, many years, and it has not dried out or changed in texture at all. It's sort of a whipped, moussey sort of formula that blends out beautifully on the eye, but then it sets down and it doesn't crease throughout the day. The topper is definitely more of sort of a pressed pigment. It doesn't have much of a base, but it's a beautiful, like sort of twinkly champagne look. And I love this because you can do a sheer wash of the topper for the daytime, but for nighttime, I actually take this basically all over my eye from my lid almost up to my brow bone. And the way it catches the light in the evening, if you're like out to eat or you're walking down the street, it gives this very sort of subtle but glam look. That was the way that I wore it when I went out to dinner one night, and I actually received a couple of different compliments on my eyeshadow, and I really just never get sick of this formula. I have had it for many years. I really want other shades of this because it's just so tried and true. And because of how compact it is and how adjustable it is from day to evening, it's a great travel item. Then I brought two of my Victoria Beckham Beauty lid lusters in the shade Honey and in the shade Tea Rose. So Honey is a beautiful, warm gold, sort of champagne-y gold, and it's beautiful for daytime or evening. And then Tea Rose, it's described as a rose gold, but I actually find it to have different flecks of like purple and gold and silver. It's very complex, and it has a bit of a deeper base color than Honey does. And so I actually wore Tea Rose in one of the evening looks that I did when we went out for cocktails. It makes a really elegant, sort of chic but sophisticated looking evening eye look, and I prefer Tea Rose in the evenings. I brought two brushes to use for the cream eyeshadows. They are both the Rephr 01 brush, which is just a flat shader brush. They're both natural bristles. I can apply any of those cream potted eyeshadows with a finger, but if I want to blend it out or maybe do a more diffused wash of color, then I will go in with a brush. But if I were traveling light, I would probably just leave these brushes out. Now, my mascara / lash routine is a little high maintenance, but this is just what my lashes need because they're so tiny and straight and they need a lot of help. So I brought my Shiseido lash curler, can never be without it, it's the best one. And then I brought my Peri Para Ink Mascara Fixer. I use this under every mascara and it makes every mascara so much better. It holds a curl, it prevents smudging, it prevents bleeding, and it keeps the curl and lift throughout the entire day. If you struggle with that, you need this. And it also adds a bit of length and volume. I almost always go over that with the Maybelline Full and Soft Waterproof Mascara. I don't think this is a necessity for everyone, but I love the way that this mascara creates a very fan-like effect with my lashes. It has a natural bristle brush, but both the brush and the formula are lightweight enough that they coat the lashes and add length, but they also create that nice fanned out effect that prevents me from getting clumpy lashes with whatever mascara I go in with next. So for the daytime, my last mascara step is the Surratt Noir Lash Tint. And I have talked about this before. It's the strangest brush. It's this aluminum tube, basically, with ridges, but it builds length, and it's very, very black, and it allows me to separate the lashes and kind of maintain that fanned out eye look. And it's super, super budge proof. It will not move until you use an oil cleanser. And so it's really, really good for long wear days when you don't want to be checking in the mirror to see if your mascara has smudged or if you're sweaty or whatever. It's super reliable. My mascara for volume in the evenings is my Bite Beauty Upswing Mascara. This is, if you want volume, this is the mascara for you. It has a very, very fat hourglass shaped sort of wand with natural bristles, and it's very black and it builds volume very quickly. Almost too much. I actually wish the brush was a little bit smaller, but it's really nice for when you want a dramatic eye look. And if you have you know, bigger lashes than me or bigger eyes than me, this may be great for you on its own. For me, I like to layer it with the other mascaras that fan out my lashes a little bit more. Otherwise, sometimes it can get a little bit clumpy just because of how big the brush is, which is why I need all those priming steps, but you may not. Oh wait, there's actually one more mascara. So high maintenance. I don't think you need to bring all these mascaras. This is just one of my neurotic things. So this is the 1999 Beauty Lash Tint Mascara, and it's a very, very fine, skinny wand mascara, and it's a tubing formula. So I don't often wear bottom lash mascara, but I do in the evenings if I'm going out, if I want a little bit more drama. And this is great for that because it is tubing, which means it won't smudge. It sort of creates these tubes around your lashes that stay there, no bleeding, nothing like that until you wash it off, until you add water. And then they come off in little fibers and you can actually see them sort of come off your lashes. So it's great for your bottom lashes, especially if you have maybe hooded eyes or deep set eyes where you get a lot of smudging under the lash line. This is perfect for preventing that. Can you believe I'm fitting all of this stuff in that makeup bag? I actually can't believe, now that I'm seeing it all spread out, how much I put in there. So I brought only one eyeliner, and it's the 1999 Beauty Precision Color Pencil in the shade Barna, which is their deep brown shade. And I love this because it's super budge proof and it works really well in the waterline, but it also works well to line the lashes and sort of bring definition. And I actually even used this to create a really smoky wing for one night that I went out to dinner. And I used that with my angled brush for that. I think this is a really old ColourPop brush from like, I don't know, 6 years ago, but it does the trick. And I also brought my dual-sided spoolie. This is the spoolie, and this has an angled brush on one side. And this is from an IT Cosmetics brush kit from years ago. I'll link a similar dual-sided brush in the description box. I actually didn't even really use it. I could have just brought the angled brush and I would have been fine. By the way, I just got my hair done last Thursday or Friday before I left, and I really like it. I lightened up the balayage a little bit. We went a little bit cooler with the tone of the highlights. I'm feeling it. Do you like it? The last category is lips, and this is also where I have many options. So I brought two lip liners. This is the Victoria Beckham lip definer in the shade 01, which is a sort of peachy pink, warm peachy pink. And then I brought the Kevyn Aucoin Unforgettable lip definer in the shade Divine, which is what I'm wearing today. And it creates the most perfect, like cool toned, sort of gray undertone 90s lip. So I have a warm option and a cool option. The lippy that I'm wearing right now is the Victoria Beckham lipstick in the shade Girl, which is also a very neutral sort of beigey pink. It's a little bit cool toned on me just because I have such warm golden undertones, but I really love it for a very neutral lip. It's almost the lightest nude that I can wear without washing me out, but I love it paired with the Kevyn Aucoin liner for a sort of 90s lip moment. On the warmer end, I brought my Sicily Lafido Rouge lipstick in the shade Beige Bali. I always keep it in this little velvet pouch because the packaging is so beautiful and I don't want it to get ruined. This is the most beautiful burnt apricot peach sort of look. I've actually never been able to find a lipstick shade that replicates this. It works really well for a warm bronzy look because it just adds a lot of vibrancy to my face, and it actually has these sort of orangey undertones that I find really lighten up my complexion, and it's just very, very flattering. Oh, and this and the Victoria Beckham Beauty lipstick, they're both cream lipsticks that don't fully set down. The Sicily one is a little bit more matte than the Victoria Beckham one, but they both have a really nice sort of creamy sheen to them. Nothing super matte. And then my two shiny options were the Revlon Super Lustrous lipsticks. I love high-end and I love affordable just as much. So I brought the shade Nude Illuminator, which is this nice, really warm, caramelly, shiny, balmy formula, and it has a bit of shimmer in there. Nothing visible, but it just adds a nice glassiness to the lip look, and it's very comfortable to wear and reapply, especially under masks. If you want something that's more creamy and balmy and it's not gonna dry your lips out, this is great. For evening, I did wear a red lip one night, and I brought my Revlon Fire and Ice lipstick. I just talked about this in a favorites video, but it's this really bright, punchy, orangey, watermelon coral sort of shade. Oops, looks like it melted a little bit. That's to be expected. I was in 108-degree weather. But it's a really nice red for when you don't want to commit to an opaque matte lipstick. It's actually shiny, but it doesn't move or migrate outside of the lip lines, and so it creates this like glossy, sheer, juicy, punchy lip rather than a really bold, classic, matte, crisp lip line sort of red. The last few items are more sort of like touch-up-y kind of items. So I have the Chantecaille finishing powder and the Sonia G smooth buffer brush. I always use these together, and I use this powder at the end of a routine to sort of smooth and blur the face. It is called the Perfect Blur finishing powder, and I find that it just gives the skin a really smooth look. It won't set down your makeup the way a setting powder will, but it knocks back shine and it just makes the skin look really polished and perfected overall. Two final necessities are blotting papers. These are just ones I got from Chose when I like placed an order, but I am combo but oily in the summer, so blotting papers are like an absolute necessity for me. And the last thing are my Lumify eye drops. I actually don't think I've spoken about these before. So these are meant to sort of take away the redness and make your eyes appear brighter and sort of whiter. This is a must-have for me when I'm traveling and I'm feeling tired, or I'm sleeping somewhere new, or I am out and about all day, or the sun is really bright. I am someone who has really sensitive eyes. I have allergies, and the first giveaway that I'm tired is that my eyes get really bloodshot. And so these are a must-have for me. I do have other eye drops for hydration. These eye drops are just for the appearance of your eyes. So if I'm doing stuff like doing press stuff, or I'm on camera, or I'm filming and I want to look really wide awake, I'll go for these. That is everything. I genuinely cannot believe how much stuff I crammed into those 2 bags. Obviously, if I were packing a carry-on, I'd pack much lighter, but I do like to see what I brought versus what I used so that I can be more efficient in packing next time. So I would love to hear from you. Are you a light packer or a heavy packer? And what are your sort of travel essentials and non-negotiables? I really like watching videos of what people pack. I don't know if it's just me, but I find it to be really satisfying and actually pretty insightful into people's behaviors. So that's everything. I would love for you to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.